Good evening. I'm Leslie Collum, co-president of the League of Women Voters of Murfreesboro and Rutherford County, and it is my pleasure to welcome you tonight to this public forum for Rutherford County offices. Before we begin, I would like to thank the Rutherford County Chamber of Commerce for their co-sponsorship of this event. I would also like to thank the Rutherford County Government Access Channel, Chasen Haynes of the Chamber, and Judy Powell of the League for organizing this event and making it available to the viewing audience. I now want to remind our live audience of a few rules. No pens, signs, or other visual expression of a candidate preference will be permitted. We also ask that you not applaud or otherwise respond to the remarks of our candidates. Please hold all applause for the conclusion of the forum. Also, we ask your cooperation in staying in your seats until the forum has concluded. I would now like to turn it over to our moderator for the evening.
Good evening. I'm Jean Ann Rogers, and I will serve as moderator for the forum this evening. The forum is co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Rutherford and Murfreesboro and Rutherford County, Rutherford County Chamber of Commerce, and Rutherford County Office of Technology. It is my pleasure to welcome both our audience here at the County Courthouse and our viewers at home to this evening's program. Tonight we will hear remarks from the County Commission candidates for Districts 10 and 12. Before introducing the candidates, I would like to outline the procedure for tonight's forum. Each candidate will be allowed 1 minute to make an opening statement. When all candidates have completed their opening statement, the first of several questions will be asked. Each candidate will be given 30 seconds to answer each question. 1 minute will be allowed for the last question. I will begin by introducing the candidates. They are each seeking election to a seat that is important to the citizens of Rutherford County, and we hope to hear them address these important issues facing all of us. I want to thank them for their gracious acceptance of our invitation to participate in this event. Sitting to my far left and speaking first tonight is Mr. Anthony Johnson. Go ahead and give your intro.
First of all, I'm Anthony Johnson, 10th District County Commissioner, running for re-election. I want to thank you for allowing us to be here tonight for this forum. I'm 59 years old, graduate of Smyrna High School, served in the Army, honorable discharge, married to a wonderful wife, Debbie, 3 children, David, Becky, Patty. We attend the Smyrna Pentecostal Church. Like I said, I've been commissioner for 17 years. I've served on budget, steering committees, chairman or vice chair for property management, health and ed, public safety, public works committees. I'm current chairman of the County Agricultural Board and serving presently on the Smyrna Senior Citizens Commission. I've coached Smyrna youth baseball, Smyrna girls softball, which I was president of the league, coaching T-ball, Southern League, and was USSSA umpire.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Also a candidate in District 10 is Mr. Brad Turner.
Thank you. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for their dedication to Rutherford County and their commitment to responsible government by supporting this public forum. Thank you to the citizens I've met in District 10 for your support, desire to better our community, and the way you've embraced my message of conservative principles. For those who I have not yet had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Brad Turner, and I'm running to represent you as your next county commissioner for District 10. I've been in Middle Tennessee area for 16 years, with the last 7 being in Smyrna with my wife Rebecca and our daughter Kinsley. I am a conservative. I'm proud to be the candidate who supports lower property taxes and believe we must stop raising property taxes for District 10. The taxpayer should not be looked at as a blank check that can be cashed by the commission whenever they feel the need to spend outside of their means. I'm also concerned about the rising county debt and believe that if families in our district are choosing to live within their budgets, then the county can do the same. I'm honored to have the opportunity to represent you as your county commissioner in public service. I look forward to the questions this evening in the forum, and I want to thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Turner.
Thank you.
In District 12, first we have Mr. Rick Hall, and you go ahead with your intro.
Thank you. As she said, my name is Rick Hall. I'm currently the County Commissioner of District 12. I'm 39 years old. I have 2 children. I've been pretty much a lifelong resident of Rutherford County in Smyrna. I grew up in public schools in Smyrna, attended MTSU. I've currently, for 18 years, been a law enforcement officer for the town of Smyrna, and I've been on the county commission. This will be my 4th year, and I've enjoyed my time up here. I've been a constant voice for, I feel, of change that the county commission needs to go through. We've still got a lot to go, and I hope that I'm able to continue to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Mr. New.
Yeah, my name is Robert New, and I'm running for County Commissioner from the 12th District. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for inviting us tonight. I've lived in the 12th District for 21 years, which is the east side of Smyrna. I'm a registered nurse. I'm married. My wife's a nurse also, and we have 4 children. 2 of them still live in Smyrna. And I look forward to serving the constituents in the 12th District. And I believe in being a good steward of the people's money, not raising taxes if it's unnecessary.
Thank you, Mr. New. Mr. Stevens.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers, and many thanks tonight to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum. My name is Robert Stevens, and I'm running for County Commissioner in District 12 as the fiscally conservative candidate in this race. First, I oppose property taxes and sky-high spending and debt that the Commission has now. We need to be honest and realize that we simply cannot afford the status quo anymore. I'm a small business owner, which includes making a budget and following it. County government needs to operate more like a business, and I will support efforts to make that happen. The second reason I'm running is that conflicts of interest, nepotism, and cronyism are very rampant in county government. Too many commissioners vote on their own paychecks or family members' paychecks. That is entirely inappropriate and smacks of boss hog, old-time politics. Surprisingly, the incumbent in this race voted with the good old boys to keep this system in place. Friends, the county's budget and this backward-thinking good old boy system go hand in hand, and we, the people, are losing in the form of more government and higher property taxes. We need to stand together and put county government back on the people's side.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. We will now begin our questions, and we will start with you, Mr. Turner. And the question is, what makes you the candidate to vote for?
Well, I think I'm the candidate to vote for the citizens of District 10 because as I've been walking the streets, I've been meeting with people, we have the same values, and I think we have the same vision for what's important for Rutherford County. There's concern about the property taxes consistently being raised. There's concern about $500 million county debt that we're rapidly approaching, and I think that they feel like that the current commissioner has lost touch with what's important to them. I want to be able to represent them and their voice, and I think that we share the same vision and the same kind of belief and values together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hall, what makes you the candidate to vote for?
Well, I'm a get your hands dirty type of guy. I don't sit in the office. I'm out on the go, and I've treated my job as far as on the county commission that way. When I first got elected and come in the first September meeting, I requested and was able to become chair of property management. In the first 3 years of being chairman of that, we sold over $2.5 million of surplus property. We went through a complete check of what property the county owned and got rid of what we didn't need and put that up to the taxpayers.
Mr. New, what makes you the candidate to vote for?
Well, after going out and canvassing much of our district, one thing I found out is nobody knows who their commissioner is. The ones I talked to over the weekend thought it was Mike Sparks, who isn't. I believe in honesty and integrity, and I think I would do a good job representing the people. I would be responsive to their needs. And like I said before, I think you have to be a good steward of the taxpayers' money. Thank you.
Mr. Stevens.
The County Commission desperately needs more individuals from the private sector to serve on it. Like I said, I'm a small business owner. I have to make a budget and follow it. When times are tough, I have to cut things back, and when times are good, I put money aside in savings. And as the fiscally conservative candidate in this race, I would vote to ensure that every tax dollar is spent as wisely and efficiently as possible. If I ran my business the same way that property tax Rick Hall voted to spend and raise money on the County Commission, the business would go bankrupt.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Mr. Johnson, the question is, what makes you the candidate to vote for?
I've been a county commissioner for 17 years. I've gained a vast knowledge and the experience that we need to do the job. People say we need someone in there that knows how the people feel on the street. Well, you know, I've been at both ends. I've been where I didn't have any money to pay my bills, but, you know, I'd go get a second job or whatever it took to pay my bills. But the county's different. You know, the only place we have is taxes. Thank you.
Okay. The second question is, what do you feel is the number one issue facing Rutherford County in the next 5 years, and how would you address this issue? And that question goes to you first, Mr. Hall.
It's the same as it's always been, growth and management of that growth. We've been 90 to 2000, we were 56%, and this is the first year we weren't number one, we're number two behind Wilson County. We've had to do nothing but build schools, brick and mortar capital expenses. The taxes have been raised, have been gone for those capital expenses. If you need schools, the kids are moving in, they've got to go somewhere. We can't turn them away. We have to put them somewhere. So the taxes that had to be raised went completely for that.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Mr. New?
I agree with Mr. Hall. Growth is the number one problem that's going to be facing us for the next 5 years, the next 20 years. That's got to be managed. We're going to be building new schools, probably a new school every year for the foreseeable future, and I don't see that changing anyways. I think people are going to keep moving into this community. We need to watch the quality of life issues, make sure we plan developments, try to create more jobs.
Thank you, Mr. New. Mr. Stevens?
Clearly, planning for growth is going to be the biggest issue. There's no simple answer on how to solve that problem, but I strongly believe the first step is to get all these government entities on the same page, the school board, the municipalities, our state legislators, our congressmen. We need to get everybody on the same page and focused in the same direction, which is not happening now. And our answer can't be to raise taxes because the kids need it. That's something that the people that I've talked to have told me they don't want to hear anymore.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Mr. Johnson? Do you want me to repeat the question?
I think the number one issue would probably, in these days, would be the economy. That's not something that we can really address other than supporting incentives to attract industry and tourism and to provide or enhance the jobs that are out there. We need to become more or less dependent on the landfill. That's a big issue. That's going to be a big money problem down the road. It already is. So, but we need to recycle.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Turner?
I also think that the number one issue is going to be facing our community is growth. I think that we need to make sure that due to the increased growth, I think Mr. Hall touched on it, that right now we're number 2 or 3 in growth in the state of families that are moving here, and they're moving here because they're looking for opportunities and they share the same conservative values that I share. So I think we need to make sure that we have policy in place that is consistent with small business growth, but also encourages families to relocate here and to set up shop here, and I think that's the number one issue that's going to be facing our district in the next 5 years.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Okay, Mr. New, the next question will be to you first, and how have your experiences prepared you for this job?
Well, I don't know if any experiences I have in particular prepare me for this job. I've been a registered nurse for 34 years. I've done budgeting before in my job as a nurse manager. I understand how to do that. And I know how to work with people. I know how to manage people. I think that's important.
Thank you, Mr. New. Mr. Stevens?
As I've previously stated, I'm a small business owner. I think I've learned more from starting a business than anything. I have to balance the budget. You have to cut back when the times are tough. And when the times are good, you have to save money. The county commission, more than ever, needs some small business owners who can apply these common sense principles. Also, I think my legal background would be beneficial. The county commission keeps getting us into frivolous lawsuits, and if we had a vocal conservative attorney on the county commission, I think we could try to avoid some of these frivolous lawsuits and save the county some money.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Mr. Johnson?
My 17 years experience on the county commission, there again, as I've already said, has given me a vast knowledge of the inner workings of the county and what it takes to make this county thrive. And I would love to continue serving as I have in the past 17 years and just with responsible spending.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Turner.
Thank you. I feel my experiences in the private sector is what would help me be the ideal county commissioner for District 10. I understand what it means to have to stay within a budget for projects. I understand what it means when everybody's pulling you in each direction, but you only have a certain amount of money that can be spent on projects. You have to make those kind of tough decisions. Same thing as a family budget. I just don't think it's fair that we expect families in Rutherford County to live within their budgets and then the county commission can somehow run up a debt. It doesn't make sense. So I know what it's like to work with a budget, and I know what it's like to be effective within one. Thank you.
Mr. Hall.
Experience, again, 18 years in public service, being a police officer. I've learned you go by a book and you stick to it. When you have a plan, you set out a plan and you stick to it. If you don't have a plan, then it's hard to go by. We have visions, and the county commission has chosen years past not to go by that. And I've been a proponent of standing up here and staying on our vision and setting goals and achieving those goals. And I've been a lone horse up here at times, speaking out for that, and I want to continue to do it.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Okay, the next question is to you, Mr. Stevens, first. And what changes would improve county services, and how can they be implemented?
Well, first, I think we need to look toward the future and get as many government services as possible on the internet. We already have some on there now, and that's a great thing. If people can do more things online for themselves without having to go into a county government office, then we can reduce our workforce, which will save the county money. Also, I think we need to have electronic filing in all of our county offices and court systems. This will greatly cut back on the use of paper and the need for storage space, and those aren't cheap. I think we can also take the county commission and make it paperless.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Mr. Johnson.
I think we need central purchasing because that's one audit finding we have year after year. I think that can be implemented through department cooperation through the mayor's office. We're in the process of updating our codes. That's drastically needed. The land use plan, we need to revise that and to go by that. Possibly look at privatization of some services.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Turner.
Thank you. I think actually Mr. Stevens touched on something. I think we need to use the technology that's available to us to help our constituents. If we have ways that we can make things become electronic and not so reliant on paper, I think we need to look at doing that. I think Mr. Johnson touched on a key one with centralized purchasing. Have everything in one area where the purchasing can be done and we can cut costs that way, and I think that's going to benefit the constituents in District 10.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Mr. Hall.
If you watched the county commission meeting yesterday, you heard me voice these same things that they're talking about up here. 2 years ago, I went before steering and I asked to go to laptop computers for county commissioners and go wireless or paperless. Before every meeting, we have stacks of paper up here we could have been away with long ago, and it got turned down 2 years ago. These are things I've tried to get imposed, but I'm only one of 21. It takes 21 and a consensus to get those things done. And I've learned that through 4 years of being up here, and I hope in the future to make it better.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Mr. New.
One thing I think is that the county departments need to be more responsive to the citizens of the community, the ones that are paying their salary. Some of the interactions I've had with them over the years, I wasn't treated very well. I think they need to do some work with customer relations to improve interactions with the voters, and the people in this community.
Thank you, Mr. New. We are about to start our last question, so you will have 1 minute to answer the question and any closing remarks that you would like to do. The last question is, what influences your decision more, growth or quality of life? Mr. Johnson, your question first.
I think quality of life, but the growth also affects your quality of life. So we need to continue to watch our growth and do whatever we can to keep that under control, which you can't really control it, but just make sure that we have the infrastructure and continue to work on building infrastructure that we need for the growth, and to try to bring in industry, new jobs. Said we have a lot of debt. Yes, our budget this year is $407 million, but our total debt is $384,030,000. We'll pay off principal this year at a rate of $22,335,000. I came into office in 1993. Tax rate was $339. It was set yesterday at $246. We have decreased the tax
Mr.
by 93 cents.
Mr. Turner?
Thank you. I think that as opposed to growth, I think quality of life is probably as important. And just because you're growing doesn't mean that the quality of life is going to increase at the same time. And I think that we need to be careful. We obviously want to encourage investment. We want to encourage economic opportunities for our community that's going to lead to economic growth, but not at the expense of the quality of life. I know, at least in my district, that we enjoy the quality of life that we have now. And I want to try to maintain that as county commissioner. I want to thank you again for the opportunity to come out and speak to you tonight. Thank you to the residents of District 10 that are watching on television. It's time that we make a statement, make a stand for what we believe in District 10, and our conservative voice needs to be heard together. I'm proud to be that candidate. I'm proud to represent you with conservative values and vision. Mr. Johnson's talked about his experience being up here for over 15 years, but experience, all that's led to us is consistent property tax increases, the debt growing, and there's some concern that he's not hearing our voices. Thank you.
Mr. Hall?
By far, quality of life. When I ran for county commissioner, it was because of what the schools looked like in my district. There was broken windows at John Coleman. It had not been remodeled since the 50s. Go look at that school now. That school has been totally remodeled. It actually has computers in it that works with internet. You look at, we've got a whole brand new wing on Smyrna Elementary. I've got a 5-year-old daughter that was going to be introduced in the public school district, and I wanted the best for her and all the rest of the kids in the 12th district. And I've been a lone wolf up here on development. I've asked for more. I've turned down developments that's gotten passed with no water in them whatsoever, no fire hydrants, that people barely got water service. But because of our zoning laws and our planning laws, they rubber stamped them through. We've taken 18 months, and you see on our website through the Planning Commission right now that we're finally going to have a comprehensive plan that's going to address those issues. And I hope in 4 more years of me being up here that we can get these issues taken care of.
Thank you, Mr. Hall.
Thank you.
Mr. New?
Yeah, I think quality of life is probably more important of the two issues. They kind of go hand in hand all together, but we need to manage. I mean, if we manage growth, properly, it'll the quality of life issues will be taken care of. The other thing I'd like to say, everybody's talking about their tax rates. I got my tax bill the other day, and it was $1,214 for a year, which is $3.32 a day. I think we get a lot for our $3.32 a day. I mean, if you get sick, you call the ambulance comes to get you. If you have problems, you can call the sheriff, somebody comes. Our schools, I mean, you get an education for your children that's, costs you $1.50 a day. I mean, try to see how much it costs to go to send your kid to a private school.
Thank you, Mr. New. Mr. Stevens?
Of the two, maintaining our quality of life is the most important one to me. The voters with whom I've talked over the last few months simply do not want more property tax increases. As taxes go up, our freedom goes down. These people do not want Rutherford County to end up like Davidson County, where the taxes are sky high. They want government to live within its means, especially during this recession. We must keep our taxes low so that people can stay here in their homes and so that more people will want to come here and businesses will want to come here and thrive. Taxes are up and freedom's down. Government spending is up and our employment is down. Debt is going up. Accountability and voter confidence are down. Friends, the status quo that we have now is backward thinking. It's upside down, and we as the people need to stand up and take this thing back and turn it right side up for the people.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Once again, on behalf of the League of Women Voters, the Rutherford County Chamber of Commerce, and the Rutherford County Office of Technology, I want to thank all the candidates for their participation tonight. I also want to recognize Brian Robertson and the staff of County Technology Office for their cooperation in presenting this program on Governmental Channel 19. I want to remind all citizens to go to the polls on August the 5th to exercise this important right to determine who represents them, as well as the other important positions being voted on. Early voting is July the 16th through the 31st. May we close again with a round of applause for these candidates.